EPA and WA meteorologist Bobby Martich here with their outlook for the weekend, January 21st and 22nd, 2023. The weekend video forecast is proudly sponsored by Bozergeist Brewing Company. They are located at 1250 Simon Boulevard in Easton, Pennsylvania, very close to Lafayette College. They are purveyors of fine craft beer in the Lehigh Valley with a vast beer selection from IPAs to ales to stouts and sours. They also have a fantastic menu selection, live entertainment, open mic nights, and trivia nights, and are open 5 days a week between Wednesday and Sunday. Easton Restaurant Week is here and will run through this Sunday, and Bozergeist is a participant with over 20 delicious curated menus offered at an affordable fixed price point, along with a beer release this week, which I understand is a hazy double IPA. They are Bozergeist Brewing Company in Easton, proud sponsors of the weekend video forecast. So the weekend's going to start off nice. We're going to have temperatures that are near to very slightly above average here on Saturday. Intervals of clouds and sun expected. A little more clouds in the far northern areas, and the rest of us are generally partly cloudy today, and then partly cloudy overnight tonight. So it will be a nice day to start the weekend, but it will not finish that way as we have this storm system moving in from the southwest. This required making a snow map for it because we have some parts of our area getting some accumulating snow out of this. So this is the European model that ran today. This is going to come in kind of like early to mid-afternoon in our southern areas and mid to late afternoon in our far northern areas. And it's going to overspread the area as snow in the interior and rain farther southeast. And then it will go over, transition on the fringe areas to transition to some sleets, a little bit of freezing rain, and then rain, we think, as this system evolves. There's just not a cold air source above this, and that's the big issue. So you would ideally need to have a big high pressure sitting up here or somewhere in this vicinity, just pumping cold air in here in order to keep this more of a all snow event, because the track is really not that bad. It's sitting here off the Delmarva, which is typically a good track in winter, but if you don't have that cold air source to tap into, you're going to have these marginal temperature situations. That's exactly what we're expecting with this. Now, temperatures will be above freezing most likely when the precipitation begins to fall on Sunday afternoon. You see temperatures are well above freezing just about everywhere, but the wet bulb temperature is going to be considerably lower, and that's associated with the dew point. And if that's below freezing, it might start off and melt as soon as it hits the ground for a little bit until the evaporational cooling processes can take over and the air temperature drops as it continues to fall, and then you'll start to see some accumulations out of this. So far northern areas, parts of north central and northern parts of northeast PA will just see an all snow event out of this, we think, but there will be some mixing that goes all the way up to places like Wilkes-Barre and Scranton. Okay, so it's going to be up there pretty high for that mixing area. It might not change over to rain completely there, but it'll be awfully close. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Whenever you have a warm air advection situation, which is this certainly what this is, you have that opportunity. Now, this is not a huge storm in terms of amount of moisture available with it, but it's big enough, okay? And it's going to give you some snow accumulation in the interior. Here is the NAM high-res future simulated radar. I'm going to start this off at 1 p.m. on Sunday and move it forward. You can see all this precipitation down here. Across Maryland, it is primarily rain, but as this moves up to the north and east, you see snow falling, and that is generally falling from about I-76 or thereabout and points north. And it's going to snow for several hours until early evening, but then you see this mixed line and rain line creep up to the north, and that gets all the way up to, like I said, Wilkes-Barre and Scranton. Might change over to, at the very least, some mixed precipitation, if not rain entirely. Before these areas far northwestern areas will remain snow, we think, and then this will all pull away as we get into late in the overnight. This is 5 o'clock in the morning. It's moving off the coast early before dawn on Monday. Okay, so this is going to be in the pre-dawn hours. But you can see this is primarily a rain event for these areas, like say south of Quakertown, Doylestown. Most of so our snow map that we did, we only included the northwestern portions of like Bucks and Montgomery, far northern Lancaster County, York County, same thing. We're not expecting much snow there anyway, but there will be at least some snowflakes flying here at the beginning or the onset of this before it pulls away. And this is what we went with for. Actually, let me show you what the NAM has in terms of total snowfall first. This is what the latest NAM has for total snowfall. And this looks just like our snow map that I'm about to show you here in a minute. Okay, you see the southeastern extent of snow. Now, this is only coating to an inch on the southern fringe here. But once you get up here in north of I-78, you're getting into a couple inches of snow, some 1 to 3, 3 to 5 areas, and then maybe even a swath up here in these areas here that in their higher elevations that might get above 5 inches. We have those in the 5 to 8 inch range. I don't think it's going to be quite 8, but we have that next. That's the next step in ranges. We have 1 to 3, 3 to 5, and then a next step up is 5 to 8 for those areas up there. But this is what we have for our snow map that was on the weather alerts page that we put out last evening. If I can get it, there it is. Okay, so pretty much matches what the NAM has. This was done obviously before the NAM was done. Well before that, it was done this morning actually. But these green areas are all rain. The coating to 1 inch is in the gray areas, and then we have areas further north, generally 1 to 3 until you get to the higher elevations, and then parts of central PA where it's going to stay all snow. North central PA, we're in a 3 to 5 inch swath here, and that includes the elevations of northeast PA. And then this swath up here that's going to go over 5 inches. Chances to exceed 5 inches are going to be up here. Susquehanna County, parts of Bradford County, Wyoming County, Sullivan County, and even northern Lycoming County. We get into some of that. So that's our snow map. I don't want to beat a dead horse here. It's not going to change a whole lot between now and Sunday, but if there are any changes to be made, we will do so again on the weather alerts page today. Just update the current information we have there now. Excuse me. So after this point, we are going to be Monday again. That's the precipitation is going to move off the coast early before dawn. So we're just looking at clouds giving way to sun here on Monday with breezy conditions in the wake of that system. Okay, and then Tuesday is a partly cloudy day and turning a little bit milder. So we get back up into like the middle 40s for highs here on Tuesday. Then our next system comes in. Now the difference between this system and the last system is not that much different, except for we now have high pressure sitting up here. So now you have a cold air source. So the cold air source is going to help, but only help in the beginning of the storm. That's going to get all this cold air here initially when this precipitation is moving in, because otherwise, if this wasn't here, it would be a straight rain event and that's it, okay? But because this is here, we now have a little bit of cold air damming at the surface where it's funneling in the cold air. As this low pressure is moving up this way, it's going to run into kind of a roadblock there and transfer its energy to a secondary low that's going to take over eventually. But that cold air source at the beginning is going to allow for a lot of areas to start off as snow with this one, we think. And here's what the European model does with this. Very similar to the evolution of the GFS too. Might get some more areas involved with some snow this time that did not get it. We're not as fortunate with this one. Maybe only getting a coating or an inch with this one. GFS doing the same thing, where it has this thump of snow on the front end. The thump could be pretty good. It could be a pretty good thump of snow because you have a pressure gradient between this strong low pressure and this high pressure. That pressure gradient is going to squeeze out some extra moisture, we think. And so you can get a pretty good thump of snow on the front end before it does change over. And I do think it does change over, but this might be before you get several inches of snow. This is what the snow map looks like from the GFS. Now, this is going to bounce around quite a bit here yet, and I hear a lot of people moaning and groaning about, well, we're not going to get an all-snow event. You're not going to get an all-snow event out of this. It doesn't look like it. So, even though you might have like 4 or 5 inches of snow that fell and then it goes to rain, that still counts, folks. It still counts. I know it's not the ideal situation where you send the kids out there to play or you don't want to shovel it because it's so heavy now because the rain is soaking. It's not going to disappear, but at the same time, it becomes that heavy wet snow you don't like to remove. Beggars can't be choosers, and this does count toward the total of the seasonal totals, okay? And we have storms like this sometimes, so this is it. So where this line is going to set up here, if this line is indicating here by the GFS to be further southeast than this one we're dealing with on Sunday night, the first one, if that's the case, some more areas can get into some snow here, but again, this critical line here is going to be the southeastern fringe and where that sets up. We just don't know that yet, so we're going to look at this for the next couple of days. We have plenty of time to look at it. In the wake of this system, again, it turns breezy, partly to mostly cloudy here on Thursday, and then Friday is a partly cloudy day with colder temperatures settling in for the end of next week. I'm EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Marchus. That is your outlook for the weekend, January 21st and 22nd, 2023. Have a great Saturday and Sunday.